Alex, what are the most defining moment for you in your early years that made you who you are now as a sports psychologist?
As a sports psychologist or as a human being, I would say, like, we all have like moments in our life that are defining us in the way we are right now. Um, I would say it is like not a moment. It's more like a way of thinking I adapted with the time. It's more of a self consciousness I gained, fortunately, where I realized, okay, I think I want to understand myself and I want to understand people around me, why they act like they act, why there are people that come into a room and shine bright like a diamond, as Rihanna would say. So I don't know, it was a fascination that came with the time and not like really quick. It caught me, I would say, with around 20 years old, 19 to
Mm,
20, pretty late. I don't know if it's late. So yeah, it's not a specific moment, I would say.
okay, like a lot of moments that shaped your path.
For sure, for sure. And I'm a clinical psychologist as well, next to, yeah, trying myself as a sports psychologist. So I define myself as a psychologist and more based on the fascination for the human being. And I'm passionate for sports as well. So yeah, this is why I right now am where I am and work as both clinical psychologist and sports psychologist.
Amazing. What would you say, like, when did you know, okay, the sport part is very interesting for me? No, at this moment, I want to go in this direction to learn more about the sports psychology.
You know, I was always passionate about sports, but I was always also thinking it's just a hobby, and I can't do it as yeah, I can't do it for living. Because as nearly everybody I tried for a few years, not really like focused. Uh, yeah, the professional football part, I would say that ended like with 12 years old. So yeah, I don't know. For me, it always was a hobby, and I caught myself thinking, no, I can't do it for as my job, and there is no way because I don't know. I can't become a football coach because I'm not the right person for that. I can't become a physiotherapist because I don't know. It's not my passion. So I don't know. I was very limited in my horizon, and as I studied sports management because that was my yeah, I thought last try to get into that sports area, um, I realized, okay, now this was basically like the moment where I caught fire with psychology as well, because I wanted to understand myself. I asked myself, why don't I have the passion for something like everybody else around me? It was not like that, but I thought like that, you know? And
Mm.
to understand myself, I started reflecting. And from that moment on, I was really passionate about psychology, and I was thinking to myself, okay, like why not combining both? And when I started my bachelor's in psychology, I was the only one when we were asked, "What do you want to do with your degree?" Who said, "I want to become a sports psychologist and work in an academy of a football club because I thought, yeah, working with youth players would be cool." So yeah, that's uh, that's my way to the sports psychology, I would say.
Amazing. That's amazing. And last year, you decided to go to Madrid and pursuing the master's in sports psychology. What was like one of the shaping learnings for you at Real Madrid in the sports psychology area?
Good question. Like the shaping moment or the shaping learning, I would say more, it's more about the way how you interpret yourself as a sports psychologist than the work as a sports psychologist, if that makes sense. It's more about how you approach it, how you approach the job. It's not like a psychologist where you can just sit and the clients are coming and you just wait, and everything is coming to you when you're like good at what you are, what you do. And I don't know. It's more about being proactive, about being creative, and this is what I learned from a lot of professionals we were able to talk to. And for me, also, it was fascinating to see that people from all around the world can be passionate about one thing, and not only one thing, about these two things, psychology and sports. And everybody has a different approach in a way. When we did our cases, when we tried ourselves the first time in speaking as a psychologist, and talking as a psychologist, and having our first interviews and stuff like that, you could see, okay, yeah, there's a big difference from the way we think, and that's great because everybody has a creative approach and bring it into that frame of sports psychology. And sports psychology has a tendency to be very factual, so that everything should be dealt with in one way. And we want to work on the focus now, so we do this, and we want to work on the emotional regulation, so we do this. But no, like the thing I learned is you can be creative, you can work with your client, with your player, with your athlete, and figure out what is the best for your client and for yourself as a sports psychologist as well. So you are a team. You're not like only the client and you are the helper. No, it's
Mm.
a team. And when you're a team, you can succeed, and the athlete can succeed even more.
Yeah, I love that approach. Like, especially as you were saying about, like, as a psychologist, you sit there and the people comes to you, and as a sports psychologist, like, especially in the youth, you have to be like proactive also and also creative. And like before our podcast, you told me one thing about like building trust is very important, especially for youth players. And now you are at the Youth Elite Academy working. What would you say, like, what is really important starting in the academy like you are doing now?
To be honest, I'm figuring that out myself as well. So I'm here for 3.5 months now. I think from that standpoint now, the most important thing is to get into relationships, to work on the relationship with the coach, with an athlete, with a team, with a physiotherapist, with the performance coach, whatever you can name it. My first 3 months were all about gaining relationships, building up relationships, building up trust. Um, Not only one-sided, both-sided, And now it slowly starts to roll by itself. People are coming
Mm,
because they know, okay, this guy's a psychologist. I have something on my mind that I really want to share, but not with my coach or not with X or whatever, with a psychologist because I think he can help me itself, but because of the small talks we had at the beginning and
mm,
the relationship we gained. And obviously, I gave workshops and and that my helped me with my standing as a psychologist as well because I could share my expertise. But it's a combination, and I think that's the most important part. Like being proactive, being patient. This is what I really have to learn and learned a little bit more. This time, being patient. You won't just rush in there, and yeah, everything will work out from the first second. No, this is not how it happens. It's more like gaining trust and being patient.
mm. Interesting, because before you did like going into sports psychologist, like you also worked with companies, right? Like with older people. And what would you say is like the big difference working now like with youth players in the performance area and adults?
Youth players are more curious. They want to really know. They they call you out when they don't understand anything. So they tell you like, it's not my fault, it's your fault. You're the expert. Tell me. You're thinking to yourself like, yeah, he's right. So let's break it down. By the way, it's for me it was a big obstacle to go from adults, and I still work with adults as a clinical consultant. So for me, sometimes it's hard to come from adults to the youth players because they are really honest, and they are, on the other hand, depends on the age, not that reflected as adults are. So you have to, yeah, learn the approach as well, how to adapt to them, and that's the biggest difference between adults and working in companies where everything is like in a straight line, I would say, where everything is very, in a way, very sterile.
Mm,
Yeah, based on information. Not only, don't get me wrong, but more like that. Um, and when you come to a football club, it's more like eye to eye. It's more down to earth. On the hierarchy is very flat. Let's say that.
mm,
So I think that's it. And then you can add up the youth players, and then you feel like, okay, yeah, these guys are honest, and it's a different approach. So you have to be adaptable.
interesting. Like as like myself as a sports psychologist, I know so many players and also like experts want to work in an academy, like for a club, and but nobody knows how it is, right? Like in this hierarchy, in this big world behind the scenes. And can you tell us how your daily day look like? You know, like how is the timing? Do you work also on weekends? Like
Yeah. Maybe you have to guide me here a little bit. What do you want to hear? But um,
how your daily day look like?
yeah,
Like let's say you wake up at
I don't have like the same day every day. It's
okay.
why I chose that job, by the way. It's more like it's easier to start with the evenings because there you have a stable date with the players because they have their team training. So I try to be there. I am in charge for 4 teams, so I try to be there at least once in a week for one team. Sometimes I switch when they play next to each other or whatever during the training sessions, but I want to observe. I want to be in contact. I want to build the relationship with the coaches and stuff. So I talk to them. So this is for me the most important part of the day, being on the ground, on the pitch for the evening sessions. And before that, it's so different, like from day to day. Sometimes I work on workshops, I prepare. Sometimes it's more about the parents. So there are kind of informational workshop for parents. The club is giving regularly, and sometimes I'm a part of that as well. Then you work on projects like how we can, for example, just for example, how we can include our values even more into the concept of the academy, how we can make it visual, for example. So it's very different from day to day, and yeah, I think that's basically it. There is no huge structure, I would say, but that's
Okay.
I love it. Obviously, there is a structure in the way, but it's very flexible. Let's say, I think it's better to say it like that. It's very flexible.
Interesting. And you mentioned a lot about like building in the first period of the starting trust, right? And what would you say how you can build trust in the first beginning? Because as you mentioned, that's the foundation where you want to work on, and then the ball is rolling. what is your approach to building trust?
It's a very natural approach, hopefully. I'm being myself, and I'm not a guy who is approaching directly. I'm more of a first, like in the first contact, more of an introvert guy, and I try to embrace it a little bit. So I try to be myself, and in the right moment, I just want to know about the other person, and I get into a good conversation like very often when I approach in a natural way, not forced, and being honestly interested in that other person next to me. And sometimes it takes some time. There are like players and coaches as well where it took a little bit longer to get into that first real conversation. And sometimes it feels a little bit, for me, a little bit off to wait, but it didn't feel right for me. So I try to go the natural way. It's my approach. There are
Mm,
go like straight. I would say you are one guy, you go to them and boom, like in your face. But it's a natural way for you because it's you.
mm,
For me, it's not the right approach. So
mm.
I think when you're natural, when you're honest, when you're authentic, this builds trust.
Okay, interesting. And what would you say are like the common challenges for like youth player at this age? Because they have a lot of pressure also, like performance pressure, and it's like everybody wants there, but not everybody has the possibility to come there. Like, what are the common challenges these players face?
First of all, when they're really good, too much attention in a young age. Like in the age of Instagram and co, there are cases where you think like, oof, this guy is 13, 14, and he has attention of a lifetime, let's say it like that. So it's difficult. I would say the expectation on themselves. There are 13 years old, 14 years old that want to become a professional player, and they are quite far away. They think they are really, really, really close, and our job is it as well to put it into a healthy perspective for them. Um, and then there is expectation sometimes from parents, and there is pressure from the coaches as well, obviously, because the coaches are more focused on bringing out the best of the players, and then you have an environment where it's all about being in your optimal prime of playing, and this is not possible, and not possible in an age where everything is developing in your body, in your mind. So there's so many challenges for real. This is why my solution, like when I get asked, and I think this is a question you will ask me as well. My solution for it would be like very simple: just focus on having fun while trying to be the best version you can be in that moment. And sometimes in that moment, you can't reach the level of the week before. And that's okay. But realizing that it's okay is pretty difficult. And this is where us sports psychologists come into place again.
Mm. That was like it was really, really on point, like the solution. And
Please.
it yeah, it's amazing that you see it from this perspective and also acknowledge that it seems easy, but that's like very hard to do it.
Yeah, it's difficult. And for us psychologists, in my opinion, it's difficult as well. It's easy to say. For me to say that right now is pretty easy, no? But to act, to adapt to the individual, to reach that individual, it's difficult, and that takes experience. And this is why I say you have to be patient with yourself as a sports psychologist as well, because I'm not the one sitting here and saying I'm the expert. I'm not. I'm not.
Mm,
I'm on the path as you are as well, and I try myself. I try the best to get out of myself. But as it goes for the players as well, sometimes you don't reach the level you had the conversation the day before, and then you have to catch yourself, and you have to realize, okay, it's okay to be not on that level. You have to be patient with your progress, with the process, and it's not a thing you only can tell athletes. You can tell it yourself as well. So yeah, it's difficult. It's really, really difficult.
Mm, that's true. Because like always when I talk with my players, I explain them football is like up, down, up, down, up, down. It's like never like going on the up. But
True.
like if you're just focusing on the downs, it's very hard. But
Yeah,
tomorrow can be like a up, and being focused on the present, that's very powerful.
for sure, for sure.
What
Totally
would you
agree.
s- what would you say based on, let's say, for example, now in this elite academy, the players have the possibility to work with you, but there are so many clubs and so many academies, they don't have this possibility to having sports psychologists on the team. Which kind of advices you would give to young players? They are facing maybe the same struggles, but they don't have somebody like you. Like, what would you give them, some tools, some advices, how they can deal with the same pressure and challenges?
As I said, try to focus on having fun, because you started your discipline of sports because you have fun with it. And then there is the next level of trying to improve and to be better. And that's okay. But always put the fun on the first place. And this is not even that easy. You think like, oh yeah, that's like the easiest sentence this guy could tell right now. No, it's not. I observe it a lot because there are young people that tell me in my conversations with them, I played football or I started football because it made so much fun. But now I see them with faces where they are angry, where they don't regulate yet their emotions because of the pressure, whatever. And to remind them to have fun, sometimes it's just like a quick sentence, like in their way, to say, have fun.
Mm,
Come on, heads up, have fun. It reminds them to regulate their emotions and stuff. It's not that easy always. But for young players, try to remind yourself why you started playing football, tennis, hockey, whatever, and focus on the fun. And with the fun comes relaxation. And with the fun, sometimes, not always, but sometimes comes the right arousal as well. Because we want to get the athletes in the right zone of arousal, no? So I think a good approach would be in young ages to let go, have fun, focus on being a little bit better day by day. But when that is not the case, which will definitely be the case, then it's okay. Step back, remind yourself, I want to have fun here. And with the fun comes success. And then you can, as you get older, obviously, try to improve on the mental side of the game, of more specific sport psychology topics, psychological topics. But for really young players, have fun.
mm. Yeah, that's powerful because like if you have fun, you're automatically in the present, like you're enjoying the moment, and
Yeah,
that's why you're
for
having
sure.
fun. And it's also much easier to don't focus on like too much outcome because you're having fun. And the funny part is like you play better if you have fun. And
Yeah, I mean,
that
you played yourself as well, right? I did.
yeah.
And I played so much better when I just had fun, when I didn't think about anything else. And when you have fun, you think about the game, maybe about how you're gonna surpass your opponent, how you nutmeg your opponent, or whatever. I don't know. You have a little smile on your face when something goes right, and when something goes wrong, it's okay because you know you're going to do better the next time.
Mm,
So you are in the zone. You are not, maybe not in the flow, but sometimes you get into that flow as well because you just play for hours and hours. As a kid, you played for hours and hours because it was fun.
mm,
So
yeah.
I see a lot of players getting very tightened up and stubborn because they just focus on getting better and the need of getting better and the need of being perfect. And these are needs and ways of thinking that don't allow fun, right? So
Mm,
this is why I say focus on having fun.
yeah. You mentioned before like that attention in this age is a big thing, right? And how would you deal like with a player and he's let's say 12 years old and has so much attention? And like how do you regulate also these kind of attention or expectation he has on himself?
I don't regulate them. I trying to get them back into that moment of the game because these kind of expectations they come up in between games, in between of training sessions, and when they come up in between their training sessions, they eventually come up in that training session as well and disturb your focus or whatever, or in that game, like in the most negative way of outcomes in that game when you do a mistake, an easy mistake or whatever, you get into that way of thinking. So what one of the first things I try to work on with players of every age group, and for me that goes for now for very young players right now from like 11 to 14, 15. um, I try to work on being in that moment and focusing on their strengths, and this is more about repetition, 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 repetition. And sometimes it's boring, and sometimes they look at me and they tell me like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. And maybe then it's not the right approach for them. Okay, they are honest, that's good. And sometimes you see like small changes in their behavior after a mistake. And I think it's more about being in that moment again, being in that
Mm,
moment, and sorry to add it again, having fun because you're
yeah,
in that moment.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I had like a few weeks ago, like also a conversation with a coach from Mainz 05, and he
Mm.
was saying that like always, like he has also a young youth team, and he says like, I tell him, hey, mistakes are allowed, like
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
don't have the feeling that like okay, when I do mistakes, I'm out of the game because I have the feeling a lot of players think, oh, okay, when I do mistakes, it's over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there we are in the field of coaching the coach, and this is one bigger part of my work as well, because in that age group, you work more with the coaches and more in groups of teams than individually. And it's about um, the culture of mistakes, how you handle mistakes as a coach as well. Like as a coach or in sports and in high level sports, there is perfection and perfectionism for real. Like, obviously, and it has to be there in a way as a driving force to get better as well, but only in a way, because you have to handle mistakes of your players, of your coaching staff, of yourself. Because let's say there is a player that makes the same mistake, like that does the same mistake for 4 or 5 times in their training session. So he obviously needs coaching to get better, to get guided through his process of getting better. You have, as a coach, the decision to shout at him, to say, "You did it now. You did it the fourth times, and I told you already." So like this is a way of stable and static coaching. You just
Mm,
measure him on his performance right now in this moment, and you don't see the progress of the past, and you don't see what comes next when he overcomes that way of mistake because he learned that new movement or whatever. And this is what I tell coaches a lot. You always have the opportunity to especially in that age group to be a driving force of the way of thinking of these young guys, because they get taught how to handle mistakes. Are mistakes something? Are mistakes failure, or are they just part of my process, the natural
mm,
process of getting better? Because when I do mistakes, I know I'm on the right path. Because when I would not do mistakes, I wouldn't leave my comfort zone. I wouldn't get better. I wouldn't be in a environment where I get pushed to my limit. Because when I want to podcast in English, I will have to do it the first time, and I will have to do it the second and third time, and the fourth time, and the fifth time. And I promise you, the fifth time is going to be better than the first time.
mm,
But how do you handle the third time, which is maybe worse than the second time because of whatever? Like, it's like my daily form was not that good. I was not concentrated enough. How do you deal with it when you have someone sitting next to you saying, "Boof, that was bad. Like you did better the last time." Like, okay, just leave it. You can leave the team, whatever. Or do you have someone who tells you exactly that? What did you better? What did you do better the last time? Okay,
mm,
why do you think you couldn't do it this time? Okay, so what is the learning? All right, the learning is and then you move forward and you handle that mistake. And this is a way of thinking which differs like good players from the best. I would or good coaches from the best, and that is the way of thinking I try to adapt to myself and to give further to the coaches.
mm. Yeah, this perspective really important, like coaching the coach, because as you mentioned, like in this age, I had also a lot of players, like older players. They tell me like
Mm-hmm.
one of my youth coach destroyed my career, or like this coach was like so hard on me, and I had so many issues with my self-belief and all these things. And I think as a coach in these years, you have so much impact on these players.
For sure.
And if if you don't know how to give them a growth mindset, it's very hard for them in the future also.
Yeah,
And that's I think also very important, as you mentioned, that like that's also your job to teaching the coach how he can teach better.
for sure. For sure, it's one of the most important jobs in a working environment where you work with youth players and youth players of age of 11 years old. So it's not only important for coaches, it's also important for teachers, for parents, and this is something you could put into a parenting workshop as well. How to deal with certain behaviors, how to deal with mistakes of your child or whatever. So it's nothing that is sports psychology only. It's you can adapt it to life. I would say.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Alex, the last question is always the same question, and it
Mm-hmm.
goes, what was the best advice you ever received?
Oh, you caught me off guard here now. The best advice. Let me think about it. Mm, 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 mm. The worst advice would be like, stay as you are. I received that a lot in my childhood, and I believed it's a good thing because you hear it like casually, like, stay as you are. Please stay as you are. You're beautiful. You're cool. Whatever. No, I don't want to stay as I am. I want to improve. Um, the best advice. You have to know, like, I'm an advice giver, but sometimes I have to be honest. I don't know why, because I forget them a lot. Because I think I'm in my head like pretty often, and I make my own thoughts. But I would say it's not like a specific sentence. It's more of getting the advice of leaving my comfort zone, and I would take my mother in account here, because she pushed me at a certain time of my life to leave my comfort zone by going abroad, to New Zealand back at that time, leaving Germany alone, and after that, I really was kind of addicted to leave that kind of comfort zone, and I love my comfort zone. I was shaking hands with my comfort zone daily, and I would say it's not a proper advice, but in a way it is. She told me a lot, like, just leave, just discover. It's cool. I did it myself, and I really want you to do it because it opens up so many horizons. So I would say this is one of the best advices, like, on the meta level. Leave your comfort zone. I know it's pretty basic in a way, but really it changed my life.
Thank you, Alex, for your time.